The Grow My Cleaning Company podcast helps owners of cleaning companies just like you to grow your company and yourself so you can make more money and finally get the time and money freedom that probably got you into this business. Discover how to automate and create systems that allow you to grow like crazy without losing control. If you dig the show and want to show some love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It really helps. Enjoy the show. Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with Jackson Pinkoski, very American / Brewers fan. For those of you watching on YouTube, we got a hat with a Brewers logo. I didn't know what the logo was because I'm not a baseball guy and I'm not from the Midwest. Jackson educated me on all of it. We'll do a separate baseball podcast where Jackson just educates me about all things baseball and I ask dumb questions. Email in if you want that. We'll do that one. All right, today we're not talking about any of those things. We are talking about marketing, and that Jackson is our in-house marketing rock star. And today, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. We're going to cover what I think is probably one of the most important and overlooked things that marketers, when it comes to owners of cleaning companies, do. Big marketers do not make this mistakes. Small business marketers are terrible at it. And I'm not sure in what order Lindsay's going to release these, but if it's the order that we did them, those of you guys that joined me on my live with Lindsay, we touched on this a little bit, and I was like, we need to do a full episode. It's that big of a deal. And I just had my next level call, same thing. So we're going to talk about tracking, which is, I hate even saying it because I know like I just lost half the audience. So for those of you guys still here, nicely done. This might be one of the least fun episodes, but if you're looking to just make more money with your cleaning company or certainly grow faster, this may be one of the more valuable ones. So not low, for whatever reason, people get fussy about it, but super important. So I'll give an example, I'll give some thoughts, and then I'll let Jackson fill in all the blanks because he is the one who works day to day with our clients on their marketing campaigns. So I just had a next level call with Claire, who Jackson knows, and she's great. And she does a great job at tracking, which makes my job so easy because anytime there's a problem, I can tell her exactly what it was. And we were looking at her, some of the stuff that she's doing, and she thought some of her ads, she would say, this isn't working or it's not doing a good job. And we looked at it and there was certainly some room for improvement. Like it wasn't doing fantastic. It could have done better, but it was just for this 1 month, it was just, she wasn't closing sales. Like sales ratio was down. So this data with that data, it was a very obvious call. Without that data, she could have spent more money, stopped spending money that was doing a good job, wasted money. She could have made a bunch of wrong decisions without the data. She was just going off of how she felt about it. But with the data, it was just so abundantly, painfully clear. When I say data, at a basic level, we're just talking about lead source, dollar spent, leads generated, bids generated, sales generated. That's it. And I know that sounds, if I'll hit it once more because I know it sounds like a lot, but that'll get you like so much. Where did I advertise? How much money did it generate? Or how much did it cost? Sorry. How many leads did it generate? How many bids did it generate? And how many sales? That's it. And sales in terms of number and dollars, like $500 a month, $1,000 a month, that's it. So that is the foundation I'll lay, and I'll turn it over to my friend Jackson. And I would love any perspective you got from all of your vast knowledge of marketing as it relates to owners of cleaning companies.
Yeah. Like you said, tracking, it doesn't sound fun. But I think it's fun. Because truly, like, you don't visualize. There's no easier way to visualize your success than if you're tracking properly, right? Because oftentimes, a lot of people, they think, oh, stuff, like you said, stuff isn't working. I'm not growing. I'm not doing this. But if you're tracking properly, you can look at like your performance on any given month compared back to performance, any given month prior, and see truly like, wow, back in February of last year, I got 2 sales. February of this year, I got 10 sales. That's an immense amount of growth, right? And so it's really easy to see in the short term the failure, the success, or what you think is failure or success, and not compare it back. And that all boils down to accurate tracking, right? So just on like a metaphysical thought process, feeling level. That's what tracking accomplishes for you. But on a more concrete and important level, you have a full understanding of where your money's going, where your effort's going, in terms of like, am I spending X amount of dollars on advertising, X amount of dollars on postcards, flyers, etc. But then also where your weak spots are. So like Claire is a perfect example because I work with her a lot as well. And it does boil down to, it always starts with that initial question or the initial statement of, it's not doing well this month. Well, let's go look at why. And because her tracking is so accurate, or at least so complete, you can see clearly where the gaps are and what needs to be fixed and what doesn't need to be fixed. Because how's the saying go? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So if you're generating leads, but you aren't closing them, then you shouldn't really have to change the thing that's generating the leads for you. You have to change the closing process, right? Or adjust it or improve it.
It's so important because a lot of times people think that it's not working, and it's working like gangbusters. And there's nothing worse than spending money, getting a working funnel, and then shutting it off because you have a negative emotional response. Like, perfectly, I don't have her thing up, and we're not giving last names, and this isn't proprietary, but I think she had, for one of her lead sources, she had bids that were like, I think it was like $700 for a bid, which is too much. For residential cleaners, like a couple $100 a bid, $200-300 is plenty. But she sold a client for more than $700 off that bid. So it was actually a positive ROI first month. And, if they stay 24 months, it's a 24x ROI. Like, it was a really good gig. So without that data, it would feel like I didn't get enough of this, I didn't have enough of that. So it is funny how, as humans, we can really be doing well when it comes to the data and the ROI, but we didn't like the leads, or we feel like, I got 20 leads and I only got 3 sales. So it feels like you failed 17/20ths of the time, but it's like, well, how much those leads cost? $400 total. Well, how much were the sales worth? $1,000 a month. How long is that probably going to stay? 3 years, right? That's $36,000 gross income return off of $500. So, but we'll say crazy things like that didn't work. So, and then the opposite also works. Things that aren't working, we tell ourselves it does work, right? Because we have a positive response and there's not the numbers. So Jackson made a really good point. It sounds like it's not fun to set up putting in data, and I don't know that it's particularly fun, but it is wildly fun to go over those numbers and be like, I know exactly where my money went. I know exactly how many leads, bid, sales I got. I know exactly what I need to do next month to get the leads, business, sales that I want. So yeah, getting it set up, not a tremendous amount of fun, but the control you have over your business, ton of fun. And when you go to, tell you guys, when you go to sell a business and you're like, here are the 10 lead sources I have tested over the last 5 years. Here are the 6 that we're using now. Here's what, and you don't have to tell them what they are. They got to pay for that. But lead source A, we spend $1,800 a month and get $3,000 a month of recurring income. Lead source B, and you just go right down it. And if you want to scale, here's how you do it. Oof, the inherent value of your business is way more sellable. All right. So what does that look like for you day to day, Jackson? What can you tell the folks that aren't tracking, don't know how to track, all of it?
Well, the cool thing is, again, I don't know when this is going to be released, but we're recording this on February 29th. So on one hand, how many podcasts are going to be recorded on a leap year day? This won't happen for another 4 years. That's pretty sick, I think. That's cool. But this is the perfect time to, if you aren't tracking, to start, or if you've kind of given it 1 foot in, 1 foot out, to really go for it in the month of March, right? Because that's always the best time to start, is right at the beginning, because you can start with like a fresh slate, essentially.
Best time to start investing in real estate, tracking your hiring funnel, getting coaching is 10 years ago. The second best time is today.
Yeah. So, yeah, hop on it. And two, you don't need complex tracking tools. You don't need, anything like that. Simple Google Sheets, Excel sheets, a notepad even works. Whatever. That's another thing too. I think a lot of people get, even if it's tracking or if it's other things we talk about here, they get hung up in the systems and process. Like, oh, I got to learn something new. No, use what you're comfortable with to get started, whether that be your phone notepad or Google Excel expert desktop mode, whatever you like to use. use it to start your tracking, because they're all going to do the same thing, right? Because ultimately it boils down to knowing the numbers and doing some simple calculations of like dividing, adding, subtracting, that kind of thing.
And I will say, again, this is the nerd in me coming out. So absolutely, if you're like, hey, if it's between Google Sheets and pen and paper, or if I have to do Google Sheets, I'm just going to do nothing. Well, then use pen and paper, please. Again, if it's you're going to do nothing or what you're comfortable with, at least do something. That said, if possible, I don't think Jackson knows this about me. I have a Google Sheet with my weight for the last 10 years. Every day I weigh myself, I put it in, I can see the whole thing. If I put that on a scrap of paper, I would have my weight maybe for this morning because I'm just not organized enough to keep the scraps of paper in the right place and all that. So I do want to encourage you guys. Google Sheets, super easy. I think it's completely free. You can Google that crap and I don't want to say be an expert, but be able to make anything tracking you need in less than an hour, probably in 5 or 10 minutes. For our clients, we've got a big fancy one that we use, but again, start with what you got and what you're going to do. Ideally, and again, I like Google Sheets because it's in the cloud and you can have it forever and you can access from anywhere. But again, if pen and paper is all that's going to work, do that. Hey, new friend, love that you were here. If you want more Cleaning Nation, more us, you can check us out on YouTube. Similar content, you just get to see each other. It's totally free. Or if you want to say, hey, hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, join our free Facebook group. We love hearing from you, Cleaning Nation. That's what makes it magic. Jump on, we'll see you there. So, all right, first thing I'm hearing from you, Jackson, is track. Second thing I'm hearing is track. And if that means you do it rudimentally, fine. Whatever, like whatever you can do, at least do that. What other encouragements would you give based on all the wins and frustrations and stucknesses you see for our clients?
Honestly, I think an important thing to do as you're going through the tracking. Again, this kind of goes back to what Mike said, like, don't lie to yourself, and inflate or deflate things, because I see that happen sometimes where, it's not to be like shady or anything like that, but sometimes you might spend some money on advertising that really doesn't bring in any leads, and you might be shameful or like afraid to retract that, even if you're the only one seeing it. It's like you don't want to remind yourself that you spent $400 to get nothing back, right? But in the grand scheme of things, you have to track it, and you want to track that, because again, on the surface it looks like you got nothing back, but what you got is complete understanding that that did not work, and you can now reference that in the future, saying, like, say you have the same idea 6 months down the line, you forgot you did it initially, and you want to go back to it, and you're like, I really want to do this offer. Oh, wait, I ran it in February, and I got absolutely nothing from this offer. But if you didn't track that, you wouldn't have an idea. So don't hide anything from yourself, I would say, is another really big thing I see people do.
Or even worse, if you didn't track it, you'll test it and it'll fail. And if you tracked it, or you'll remember it absolutely did nothing. But what it really did was generate a bunch of leads, but none of those leads turned into sales. So it's like, okay, maybe it's not you know what I'm saying? Like, without the data, you just make something up. And with the data, like, I love what Jackson said about just be honest with yourself, right? Because the data will just make it so hard for you to lie. And I think that's why people don't want to do it. Like, they don't want that honest conversation. So they'll just be like, I don't want to track it because I'm afraid, and I want to go to the doctor, I'm afraid I'll get sick, which I kind of get. But when you put on your big boy pants as a business owner, you kind of got to know, right? And yeah, if you wasted money on something, you want to know. And just like Jackson said, you get to choose. So obviously, if I spent $500 in clients and made $5,000 in profit, that's an easy one to go. But very few marketing efforts start that way. It starts with, I spent $500 and quote unquote got nothing. But what you really got was 12 leads and 2 bids and no sales and a lot of information, right? So just as I talked about, really, when you sell your business, you're just packaging a bunch of information, right? I know how to get the right employees and how to get them to do this and how to get the right clients and how to get them to do that and how and I can quantify it. It's all just tracking, right? And you're just turning over your systems and processes to somebody else. So tracking forces you to stay honest. You never get nothing. You always get data. Like even knowing, like I said, if you're selling your business, like here's the 27 things we did and here's the 6 that we're doing that are working. And just telling them, I did Facebook ads, they don't work. Not valuable, but going, here's the 3 Facebook ads we tested. Here's the audiences we tested them with. Here's the bids that we got. Like you give them all that. That is, I mean, that could be millions of dollars worth of data, right? A lot of the value we bring to our customers is, I think my prices are too high or too, or I'm expensive or whatever. I can tell you for sure, we've got data. We're like, we've been doing this for 8 years with thousands of people all over the world. That data is super helpful. All right, last thing I want to do, and I'll let Jackson end any way he sees fit. But the last concept I wanted to give, just to kind of break it easy, is a lot of times people, when they track data, they want to just go with what the customer says, right? Where'd you hear about me? Problem is, a lot of them are going to be like website or Instagram or some very general thing. And I'm not saying they haven't seen your Instagram feed or your website or whatever that is they're saying, but that may or may not be what caused them to take action, which is really what we want to know. So typically there's really only 3 ways people are going to get a hold of you. They're going to call a number, they're going to fill out a form on the internet, or they're going to email you, right? And I'm sure or they might direct message you, I guess. But generally it's going to be some version of that. So with phones, numbers are nearly free, right? So there is no reason if you test 10 things, you can't have a different number for each thing. And that number only rings when someone saw that advertising thing. So I don't have to ask Jackson, how'd you hear about me? And have him say the postcard that you sent or the ad that you put up. I know he called on that number, and that number only exists in one place in the world. It's that ad. So I don't even have to ask him. And it's just going to be better than his recollection. And if I forget to ask him at the end of the month, I can look at that number and be like, how many times did it ring? So we have definitive stuff. So that covers phone. Email, same thing, right? Help at growmycleaningcompany.com, support at growmycleaningcompany.com. I want to buy your crap at growmycleaningcompany.com. I saw an ad on Facebook.com, Grow My Cleaning. You can make up a new, you could be fun like that, or you could just Steve. And we all know Steve is this ad. And we all know Bob is that ad. So emails, same thing. You can make unique emails for every ad. And then landing pages are pretty self-explanatory. Even if you have the exact same offer, you can just have growmycleaningcompany.com/podcast, growmycleaningcompany.com/best ad ever, growmycleaningcompany.com/whatever. So really not as tricky as I think most people think it is to set up that tracking, right? It's just they get overwhelmed, they get scared. Not hard. All right. I've said everything I feel like I need to say. Stepping down, out from behind my podium, off of my soapbox. Jackson, any blanks you need to fill in before we wrap it?
Yeah, just I would add on, still ask your customer where they heard. There's nothing wrong with that, no matter how good your tracking is. It's always good to have an extra layer of, data to correlate back to. Yeah, people are inaccurate and forgetful and whatnot, so you don't want that to be the only thing, but
or even the primary thing, but it's a phenomenal secondary thing.
Exactly.
Great point.
Yeah, I guess the final thing is as we're going through this and I'm thinking about it, and I'm going to refer back to my interactions with Claire, because she's a prime example in this.
You're listening to this, Claire? We love you, sister.
Yeah. Even though she likes a sports team I absolutely despise. But anyway, besides the point, I started working with her maybe 3 or 4 months ago, tail end of last year. And her tracking was kind of all out of whack. And she had a bunch of questions and didn't understand what was working, what was not working. And we just had a heart-to-heart about the tracking. And over time, her tracking got better. She got really good with it. And it's to the point now, mind you, she's an amazing cleaning company owner. She doesn't know anything about marketing. She doesn't know, she's not an expert marketer or anything like that. But she doesn't have to ask me the questions of what's working or what's not, because she can take one look and see, oh, there's something broken here. And it'll be to the point where she'll start to ask me, and then she'll stop, or she'll answer her own question, and I'll just go, yeah, you got it. Good job. That's it. That's it. No other expertise needed. And so that really is the power of tracking, beyond just writing it down, doing it, but having that freedom to understand, this is my business. This is, if I had to put my business on paper, this is what it is. This is what works. This is what doesn't. This is what I need to change. This is what I don't. And really, it's it's an amazing way to grow from there.
Couldn't agree more. I'll give a little more like a zoomed out picture from my perspective of that. Coaching in general, I have the exact same experience. When they come in, they ask bad questions and have no idea. And then they start asking better questions that don't have any idea. And then they start asking really good questions and kind of knowing the answer. And then when I know they're like ready to kind of fly on their own, they ask really good questions and answer them themselves. So that's a very common thing and is really speaks to, and again, you can only have that with data. Like, believe it or not, the part of my biggest frustration with coaching is oftentimes I'll answer any question one of my clients asks, but I'll almost always, but half the time I'll answer another question. Like, this is what you really need the answer to. Here's the question. Here's the answer to the question you had, but here's the answer to the question that you should have asked. So if you don't have a coach, getting clear on what the best question to ask is such an important skill as a business owner. If you can ask the right question, the answer is almost easy. And if you have data, the right question just materializes perfectly. But if you don't have data, you can just be, it's the blind leading the blind out there. Even us, I feel like we're great coaches. You can be bad data or no data. I can give you an educated guess, but who the heck needs that? We need to know. So just want to encourage you guys. Coming up with the right question is one of the most important skills you can have, and having the right data is just putting training wheels on coming up with the right questions. So there you go. All right, guys, gals, if this has been helpful and you want more, you can go to growingcleaningcompany.com for over 1,000 podcasts. Join our Facebook group. If you need some help growing your cleaning company, get more freedom, make more money, make more profit, reach out to us. We are here for you. Best of luck, Cleaning Nation. Check us out. See you soon. Well, here we are, the end of the podcast, and you made it. Great job. I've got a little bonus for you for sticking through with me. But like I mentioned before, if you got value out of this podcast and you want to show a little love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever the heck you're listening to this thing. Share it with a friend. Share the love. And as a special thank you for those of you that stuck with me to the end, how about I give you my personal phone number so we can text? It's a great way for me to get to know you, your business, your goals personally. So shoot me a text now, 602-932-6431. 602-932-6431. I am the only one who responds to these texts, and I will personally respond to everyone I possibly can as long as this number is manned. Don't know how long we're going to keep this at the end of the podcast, so grab it now, 602-932-6431. Give me a text, say hey, can't wait to meet you.